Yo, what is up guys? It's me exactly back bringing some more daily NBA news and highlights. As always though, you guys are the real MVPs, are coming back each and every single day. Can't thank you enough. But now let's just get into everything that is going on in the NBA. But first, a quick word about this video sponsor, FanDuel. First of all, just going into the app and searching up FanDuel, you see right off the bat that it has over 1 million downloads and a 4.6 star rating. That type of rating and download rate automatically mean that this thing right here is legit. It doesn't get any better than that. And honestly, if you're into or looking to get into fantasy sports, it doesn't get any better than FanDuel. Typically when I think of fantasy sports, I think of some long drawn out commitment where I had to come back every day for weeks in order to actually get good at it. And I don't have time for that. And I know most of you guys don't have time to come back every single day for weeks to play fantasy sports. But that's what's so great about FanDuel. You can play and win in the same day. Not only can you make your own custom league with your friends, but there are tons of other daily contests that you can enter. And this isn't just for the NBA either. They have every single major sport you can think of. As for rewards, look, if you're actually good at fantasy sports, then you could probably make this into your living. You could earn a lot of money with FanDuel. But if you're not that great, then you can still play. I mean, paid contests start at just $1. And on top of all of that, when you click the link in the description box below to download FanDuel, you get more for your money. You'll get an extra 20% for each dollar you put down. So if you put down $10, you'll get an extra $2, which can get you into 2 $1 contests, which can win you even more money. Like I said, if you play fantasy sports or if you want to try fantasy sports, you have to use FanDuel. There is no better way. I'll have the links down in the description box below. Anyways though, now let's get into the video. Let's go. It sounds like Paul George has the Markelle Fultz syndrome. Remember how Fultz just forgot how to shoot earlier in the season? And Paul George said yesterday that for some reason, he too is kind of forgetting how to shoot, that there is something mechanically wrong with his shot, but he doesn't know what it is or why it's happening.
It's gotta figure out something mechanical in my shot. I've had struggles throughout the season in my career shooting, but it's all just been, not making shots that night. I don't know what it is. It feels funny. Shooting ball feels funny. So I'm working with our trainers and trying to figure that out. But I don't feel myself shooting the ball.
That's pretty interesting.
Maybe this explains why he shot the ball so poorly during the three-point contest. And this is something that really everyone who has been paying attention to Paul George and the Oklahoma City Thunder over the past couple of months has been noticing. Because before the All-Star break, he could shoot. He could really shoot. That's why he was in the three-point contest in the first place. He was one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, hitting 43% of his shots from beyond the arc. But since then, he has dropped all the way down to only 29% shooting from three. And it's not even just from three either. He can't make a shot from anywhere besides like a layup, dunk, or free throw, to be honest, only connecting at 37% of his field goal attempts. And for any OKC fans out there, Paul George coming out and saying, I don't know what's wrong, but I can't shoot anymore, is one of the worst things you could possibly hear this late into the season. The Thunder, I believe, only have 2 or 3 more games in their regular season. Playoffs start in like a week and a half. And now all of a sudden you learn that the Monstars done stripped Paul George of his shooting abilities. This is like code red alert, DEFCON 10 for OKC, because once again it means Russell Westbrook is pretty much the only option they have on offense, as long as Paul George can't shoot. Carmelo Anthony, we all know, has been extremely disappointing this season, even more so, kind of like Paul George since the All-Star break. And I love Steven Adams. He's a fantastic player, but I don't think he's necessarily a huge offensive threat. And overall, I just don't know what on earth is going on with Paul George. It's seriously starting to sound kind of similar to what happened to Markelle Fultz. This is the first thing that Markelle Fultz said too. Something was off with his shot. It was no big deal. He could play through it, but he was just noticing that something was off. And all of a sudden, next thing he was saying, he can't lift his arms above his head. And then the next thing you know, he's out for months with some phantom injury, trying to regain his shooting form, trying to remember how to shoot again. So hopefully whatever happened to Fultz isn't starting to happen to Paul George. And this is just a very couple month long shooting slump. But then again, the fact that he openly said that something is wrong with the shooting mechanic, he doesn't know what it is or how to fix it yet, it's very concerning. I mean, it doesn't give you much hope at all this late into the season. Sticking with the Oklahoma City Thunder though, they lost to the Golden State Warriors yesterday, 111 to 107, and that was despite Russell Westbrook going off for 44 points and grabbing 16 rebounds. By the way, he only needs 20 more rebounds this season to average another triple-double. Anyways, that's not what we gotta talk about right now. What we gotta talk about is the Thunder's big three, as after the game, a reporter asked Russell Westbrook if he, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony will figure things out by the time the NBA playoffs start. And this is what Russell Westbrook had to say.
And with that being said, do you still believe that you and Melo and PG can figure it out and y'all guys can be as scared when the playoffs start?
We figured it out. We good.
Anything else?
As long as we good in this locker room, regardless of what anybody say outside of this locker room, really don't matter. As long as we good as a team, as a unit, as brothers, we have a great relationship on and off the floor. So that's all that matters. Anything outside of this building, outside our rim, don't really matter. Don't change anything that we're doing.
So he says they figured it out, but if they figured it out, then whatever they figured out isn't what we thought they were going to be to start the season. Honestly, the only thing I figured out this season is how great Steven Adams is. Other than that though, despite them adding Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, Corey Brewer, Patrick Patterson, they're not any better right now than they were last year when we were all saying all they have is Russell Westbrook, and now they have all these other players as well, and yeah, they're still not any better. All season long, we have been waiting for them to, quote, figure this thing out and look like the championship contending team we thought they were going to be. Right now, they have a 45-34 record. To start the season, I was expecting them to have at least 50 wins this year, I'm sure, like most people. And even if they only got 50, I still think that kind of would have been disappointing since they had 37 wins last year when it was just Russell Westbrook. Personally, I was hoping to see around 55 to 60 wins from OKC this year. And now they might not even finish with as good of a record as they had last year. So when Russell Westbrook says that they figured this thing out, I just want to know exactly what it is that has been figured out, because they've looked like the same exact team all season long. It's great that Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and Russell Westbrook have such a close relationship on and off the court. That's a good thing. But I'm just saying, I'd rather players have a Shaq and Kobe relationship and be dominant on the court than be all buddy-buddy on and off the court and be disappointing. And speaking of disappointing, it's safe to say that Jimmy Butler has been thoroughly disappointed with the way the Wolves have been playing with him not in the game. Since they were pretty much the consensus number 3 seed in the Western Conference before he went down, but since he went down, they've been bouncing around everywhere from almost falling out of the playoffs completely. And yesterday, Jimmy Butler spoke up about it, saying that the Minnesota Timberwolves need to become much tougher as a team. We gotta get tougher. We gotta play like some dogs with a sense of urgency. Teams just do whatever they want against us. I don't like it, but there ain't no coach in the world that can make somebody play hard. Ain't no coach in the world that can make somebody want it. Everybody's playing in the fight of their life. We gotta realize that, and as a whole, go out there and play tougher as a team every single night, every single possession. Basically, he said, Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, y'all need to start playing some defense. And I honestly think that Jimmy Butler will be at his happiest on a veteran team, not such a young team like he's been on the past couple of years with the Chicago Bulls and now the Minnesota Timberwolves. A team where he doesn't have to try so hard to instill the idea of hard work and defense, because we all know those are the two things that Jimmy Butler prides himself on the most. When he first came into the league, the only reason he was getting playing time on the Chicago Bulls was because of his defensive intensity. He was very raw on offense, but he worked hard over the offseason at getting better at offense, and now he is who he is today. So he wants all of his teammates to play with that same fire on defense and to work just as hard as he has worked. And he is right about what he said. There is no coach in the NBA that can actually make guys go out there and play defense, make guys try. That's on the player. The coach is just the person who draws up the schemes and hopefully tries to motivate them a little. That being said, I'm not going to defend Tom Thibodeau as a head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves either, because he is not without his extremely glaring, obvious, detrimental flaws. Look, he might not be able to get his players to play hard, but he plays his players hard. Playing guys 43, 44, 45 minutes a night is inexcusable in my book. I don't care how bad you think your bench is, you have to give your starters, your star players some rest, because if you don't, then those players that you don't want to play on the bench, they're gonna wind up starting for you because you done wore the starters into the ground to the point where they got injured and have to miss games just like Jimmy Butler is right now. But that actually wraps up all the news from yesterday, so now let's take a quick look at the games from last night, and there were a heck of a lot of games last night. It's something about about the Raptors that brings out the absolute best in LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially these new Cavs. This is the second time they played each other since the Cavs overhauled their roster. And this is the second time that the Cavs have been able to have their way with Toronto since the Cavs overhauled their rosters. Jose Calderon. Did you know the Cavs are 23-9 when he starts at point guard? He is their secret weapon, and he was huge yesterday, scoring 19 points and outplaying Kyle Lowry, who only had 5 points on 2 of 11 shooting. Kevin Love, though, Cavs said he was going to be vital to their success as a team before the game, and he was amazing yesterday. Didn't even have to do much, do a lot. Only shot the ball 8 times, but still had 18 points and 15 rebounds. And LeBron was, of course, LeBron with his 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. 112-106. Cavs beat Toronto. And as for the Raptors, ever since they had their 11-game winning streak snapped, they have been struggling big time. Now 3-5 since that time, and on the verge of losing the first seed in the Eastern Conference. Yes, the Philadelphia 76ers have had an easy schedule for the longest time, as they have played sub-500 team after sub-500 team, but it's not like they have just been barely winning in these games. They have been dominating these sub-500 teams, which is what you would kind of want to see from them, and that is even without Joel Embiid over the past few games, so I'm not going to discredit them for what they've been doing, as Philly now has its first 11-game winning streak since 1990. I'm telling y'all, Embiid is only supposed to miss a game, maybe 2 games in the playoffs, and this is going to be the team to look out for in the East, an extreme wild card. 121-95, they beat the Nets. Simmons with 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. And Chris Paul returned for the Rockets, and after getting blown out by the Spurs a few nights ago, the Rockets took out their frustration on the Wizards. James Harden in particular took out his frustration on the Wizards as the man went off. He had been struggling with his shot the past few games, but not last night. 38 points on 12-18 shooting to go along with 10 rebounds and 9 assists as Houston gets the 120-104 win over Washington. This is the type of stuff that I can't stand. Charlotte, why on earth haven't you been playing Malik Monk all season long? Why? Because you wanted to try and make the playoffs? You valued making the playoffs and most likely getting eliminated in the first round again over developing your younger players, getting them some actual in-game experience. And it's kind of ironic because maybe if you played Malik Monk all season long, you would have had a better chance at making the playoffs this year. But since the Hornets were eliminated from playoff contention a few games back, they said, why not? You know what? Let's see what these rookies we drafted can do. And Malik Monk has been really good for them since then. Last night, he had 21 points, hitting 5 of his 10 shots from deep. The game before that, he had 16 points on efficient shooting. And the game before that, he had 17 points on also efficient shooting. Look, I'm sure glad the Jazz didn't take your approach to not play Donovan Mitchell because he was a rookie and they were still trying to make the playoffs. Instead of playing Malik Monk all season long, you had nothing to lose from the very beginning. Speaking of losing though, they still lost to the Bulls yesterday, 120-114. Lauri Markkanen, another rookie who has benefited from actually being able to play, had 24 points and 7 rebounds. And it's over. The Spurs' streak of consecutive 50-win seasons will now end at 18. As with the 113-110 loss to the Clippers yesterday, it's no longer possible for San Antonio to win 50 games this season. LaMarcus Aldridge tried his best to keep the streak alive as he scored 35 points, but Tobias Harris and his 31 as well as Lou Williams and his 22 at the bench gave the Clippers just enough firepower to pull off the win. And with this win, the Jazz have pretty much secured their spot in the NBA playoffs. All they need now is to win one of their last 4 games to get in, and they actually might be a top 4 seed in the West. They are the 4th seed right now, yo. That is crazy. They lost Gordon Hayward, added Ricky Rubio and Donovan Mitchell, and got better. Now just imagine how great they could have been if Hayward stayed. They low-key might have been contenders. 117-110, they win over the Lakers. Mitchell with 26 and Rubio with 31 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. And now the Nuggets are only a half game out of the 8th seed in the West as they continue to play like their lives depend on it, because their lives do depend on it, or at least their playoff lives. 107-104, they beat the Pacers by Nikola Jokic and his 30 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals. Scary sight for Blazers fans in this one as Damian Lillard tweaked his ankle late in the 4th quarter, and after the game, he was carted to the team bus. He said that most likely being carted to the bus wasn't necessary and he will be fine, but this late into the season, he doesn't want to take any chances. And with the 3rd seed pretty much secure for Portland, I wouldn't be surprised if he sat out the remaining 3 or 4 games just to make sure that his ankle is 100% ready for the playoffs. And the Blazers lost to Dallas last night, by the way, 115-109. The rookie Dennis Smith Jr. was very impressive with 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. If Boston would have won this game, they only would have been 1 game out of regaining the 1st seed in the Eastern Conference. conference, but they didn't win this game last night because of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and his 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists were enough for Milwaukee to get the 106-102 win over Boston. And the Miami Heat have just secured their place in the 2018 playoffs with a nail-biting 101-98 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Hassan Whiteside got more playing time yesterday after he had his little rant following their previous game about not getting enough playing time. He played 28 minutes and had 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks, while Dragic added 22 points and 10 rebounds. The Magic blew out the Knicks. Wow. And lastly, the Suns beat the Kings. Even more wow, 97-94. But seriously, props to Josh Jackson for continuing to be aggressive on offense, though he had 28 points. And that wraps up all the action from last night. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smack that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more daily NBA news. Remember to vote for the player of the day, but also remember the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday, that player was nobody, as there were no games the previous night. Thank you so much for watching, though. I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow. But until then, I am out of here. Peace.